We are live. If you're looking on ways to save on taxes that you might not even think about, you want to stay tuned for the next few minutes on these gems that will be dropped by Matthew Stewart. We are diving into tax savings that you may be missing. So we are talking about tax savings on the personal side as well as your business side because they're all connected. So if it is the first time you are joining me live, I am Kersha Campbell, and I do help business owners scale their cash flow and get their financial systems in order so they are positioned to save on taxes, have increased cash flow, profits, and so much more. I have Matthew Stewart joining me today. He's he comes with a wealth of experience, and not only experience but a wealth of genuine care about individuals, not only on the individual side, but your business, your, on the individual side, your family, and just so much more wealth of experience and care, and just a lot of knowledge that he has. So I'm pretty excited. So Matthew, thank you so much for coming on today. And I'm really excited about what you will be sharing because I know it's going to benefit so many persons, especially in these times. So
Yes.
one of the things I do find, Matthew, is that a lot of times, a lot of business owners and from the individual side as well, the strategy is always short term. So it's like they're looking at a lot of times the cost to prepare their taxes versus the benefit that can be gained if they connect with an expert like you, right? So I find sometimes they're like, okay, I'm okay with doing my taxes myself or find the cheapest way. And that is really not a tax strategy. And I see it ever so often. So I'm so excited that this is one of the areas that you do focus on. So I first want you to share about, from your experience, what's been the benefit of really connecting with experts when it comes to, preparing your taxes and, tax savings that you can experience for sure when you connect with an expert.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited about this too. One of the biggest things I find, especially for business owners, is one of the hot topics is they're concerned about taxes. With this market environment we're in and coming out of the pandemic and all of the government benefits that went out to people, I think you talk to 10 out of 10 business owners and they all think that which direction are taxes going?
Yeah.
Likely up and probably up quite substantially. So I know it's a hot topic these days and it's something that is on business owners' minds. So if they're already thinking about it, I encourage them, to talk to a professional to get some tax planning advice, because otherwise you feel like you're in that cycle where you're looking at it year after year after year, just trying to maybe scramble to get an RSP deduction in last minute, like today being the RSP deadline. I do have a couple of clients that always do wait till the very last moment and are scrambling to get one in last minute. Whereas if you just did a little bit of pre-planning throughout the year, or maybe even over a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year period, and start to put a plan together that can help strategize, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things I realized too is that there is this stigma as well that when it comes to taxes, it's always what you can pay, what you can pay. There's never opportunities to save. And I get it at times that, business owners on the individual side, they're like complaining. It's always pay, pay, pay. And some of the larger corporations as well, they get, they're at an advantage. And I'm always looking at it and say, it's not that they're always at an advantage, but they are connecting with the right experts to explore those ways that they can save on taxes. So having experts on board make such a great difference. So I have kids and we have gone through a series of surgeries. And when I think about it, I didn't think twice about ensuring we had the right expert on board. It was like a no-brainer, right? It was they're so important that, it's just like a priceless matter that you want to have the best experts connected with you for situations like that. So more so your business, you do want to ensure that you are connecting with the right expert. So in terms of the tax savings, what are some of the ways that you see that the average, well, I'm not going to say the average, most business owners might not think about on their own, and why it is important that they need to connect with experts to explore these options for them?
That's an excellent question. And first one that comes to mind, it's the most obvious one, and it pertains not just to business owners but to individuals as well.
Yeah.
But we talked about it earlier. Is really utilizing and maximizing your RSP contribution. I know a hot topic these days as well is the tax-free savings account, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are talking about it and starting to utilize it more. So it's just a simple high-level strategy, especially if somebody's a higher earner, either personally or within their business, is maximize your RSP contribution. You're going to get a larger tax deduction. And in a way you can effectively double dip is now if you're going to be taking that tax return come tax time, now you can lump sum that into your tax-free savings account. So I find that's an excellent strategy for people that are employed and that do work for a company. And that's something I try to employ with all of my clients. More on the business owner side of things, when we're talking mainly about smaller businesses, but even some medium-sized businesses, I find an excellent way to add a lot of benefit, not only for the employer, but for the employee, is look at maybe implementing a group plan for your
Okay. And when
employees.
you say small and medium size, are you like, I know, I mean, it kind of varies. Are you like the 15 million downwards in revenue in that range thereabout? Okay.
Yeah, I would say that's medium size. I mean, small, when we're talking a small business owner, it could be somebody as small as just themselves, like the solo incorporated entrepreneur or the solopreneur, or maybe just themselves and their spouse, or their spouse, and then one employee. Right? It could be as small as that, or it could be somebody that works with maybe 10 employees, 15 employees, 20 employees. So I find that's a great way. Also, so you may not look at adding a salary increase or a pay increase for each employee each year, but what you could do is add a lot of benefit by providing some group plan or some health benefits. And so the nice thing as an employer, that's going to be 100% tax deductible for you as the business. And so that's going to create a valuable deduction, all while adding employee retention, right? Employee, well-being, employee satisfaction. So there's been numerous studies that we've seen out there that the number one reason why somebody leaves a current job or position, it's actually not due to pay. That was about fourth or fifth down the list. It's due to the number one reason is lack of appreciation. Right? People aren't feeling valued and appreciated. So this is an excellent way that you can show your employees appreciation and provide something valuable that their family is going to use. And now, so on the employee side of things, for them, it's a 100% tax-free benefit. So let's say, just a simple example, you wanted to set up a health spending plan for your employees and maybe put $100 or $200 a month in per employee. So over a year, that's $1,200 or $2,400 per employee that now they have access that they can use that towards health spending and towards health benefits. So whether it be dental or massage therapist, chiropractor, whatever they see the value in, and that's completely 100% tax-free, pardon me. It's tax-free benefit to the employees. That's now a tax deduction for the corporation. So the way I see that is just a tremendous win-win for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So for business owners listening on, and I'll just quickly interject because I know our audience is both North America and other spots throughout the world, but these strategies are primarily for Canada, so let our listeners know that, because I know we have a wide spread of listeners. So just to interject that. So the thing I'm asking though, with setting up that the benefits for a business owner, entrepreneur, corporation listening on, should they be concerned about their revenue amount, or it does not really matter, right? Basically, it doesn't matter. They have team members, employees, this is something that they can definitely consider, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. And I would challenge, all business owners to at least explore this option. And
Yes.
I talk to business owners every single day, and this is right on top of mind for business owners. They already have
Mhm.
maybe had some experience with a group plan in the past, or they're looking at adding some extra value for their employees. And lots of times is the employees are asking for it.
Mhm.
So they should be proactive, I believe, in exploring these options. And
Mhm.
one of the nice things I wanted to mention as well is if you do go that health spending route versus a more traditional plan, is all of that money that goes into the plan is
Mhm.
going to be used eventually. So there's a couple different ways you can have that roll over to the next year. So if the employee doesn't use it all, it can actually carry forward to the next calendar year. So you could use that to build up. So let's say an employee knew their child was going to need braces, they could carry over their extra amounts for a year, a couple of years to build up that so they had enough within the account. Or there's also a way you can set it up so now that can actually roll over to an RSP. So that
Okay.
can create now an investment for the employees that is building in value. And so it's a complete mindset shift, I find, for both the employer and the employee, because now the employee is right alongside with that business owner and they have skin in the game, if you will. Is we've all
Yeah.
probably been part of a we've all probably been part of a group plan in the past, and let's say the year end is April 1st. We know the
Mhm.
plan is renewing. So what's everybody doing all of March? Probably trying
Yeah,
to go
getting
for a massage every single
exactly.
day, or every
Yeah.
at least once a week, trying to use up those benefits, because the downside is if you don't use it, you lose it. Whereas with
Exactly.
this style, you now can have that carry over indefinitely. So it
Mhm.
can carry over to the health spending plan or to an RSP plan. So just like I said, it's incredible value, all while creating the deduction for the business owner and the tax-free benefit that people actually see value in. So that's why I truly believe that's something small business and media business owners should be exploring versus maybe adding a salary increase or adding a pay increase,
Yeah.
especially in these tough times with so much uncertainty.
And that is true because especially for those with families, and even if you're without a family right now, it's just you're just, single, no kids or spouse, you never know when something might happen to you. You might say you're healthy, it's not a big deal, but you just never know, right? So I do know sometimes from the employee side, it's like, depend on where you're at, but I think it's definitely a good benefit to really offer to those persons on your team because, persons are looking, like you said, not only on the salary, but they're looking at what are the added amounts. Because when you look at it, they might say, okay, well, my salary is not that much, but this benefit kind of tops it up, and how I'm treated, and all that. So definitely, I think that really makes sense for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm. So what's another way you could, share with the business owners that this is another route they can explore to save on taxes that they might not think about again on their own? Because another thing I do realize too is that sometimes as business owners, they are whoever they're connected with who is doing their taxes or so they just have that trust that they're doing the best thing. But however, it is so important to ask that question. And I'm always encouraging my clients ask that question. Did you do all you can to save me on taxes? Is there something else? So what is another thing that they could ask their tax preparer or connect with, you are just somebody to say, I need to learn more about this. I never even knew this existed. Thanks for sharing this. Yeah.
Great question. And so there is another strategy that comes to mind. It's quite a high level strategy. So this would be more geared towards your really high income earners
Mm-hmm.
or your business owner clients likely. So once somebody's typically maxed out their RSP contribution, maxed out their tax free savings account limit, or even also maybe maxed out their spousal RSP contribution, then they'd probably want to look at using like an open or non-registered account.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, when most people think about the non-registered account is there's not really many ways to create the tax deduction.
Okay.
However, there is actually a couple ways to do so, and they involve it's high level strategies. One is I'll mention is using flow through. It's called a
Mm-hmm.
flow through shares or flow through program. It's actually Canada's oldest program. It
Okay.
predates the RSP, but very,
Oh,
very few people are familiar with this strategy because it's generally geared towards that higher income earners or those higher level
okay.
strategy. So higher level business owners. So that's just one way. There's another way that you could using maybe some real estate potentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit hard to get into just in a quick segment here, but simply put is there are ways that a deduction can be created within that non-registered account, and but most times it's for somebody that's usually maximize those other areas that are available to them.
So for the flow through, what's an average of the income range or the revenue range for the business? Or it varies, yeah.
So it really all depends on what their income is and what their eventual tax bill is going to be.
Okay.
But usually I find if we wanted to just say a very general rule of thumb, we're probably talking about six-figure incomes and up. So probably
Okay.
100,000 and up
Mm-hmm.
is when that's when it really starts to make the most sense. It also, I'll say this disclaimer, it does vary from province to province because they have different rules taxation wise here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But it's certainly a strategy that is something that is often overlooked and it can at least be explored and looked at. Like
Okay.
I said, though, it is considered a higher risk or a higher risk level strategy
Mm-hmm.
because using that flow through is related to oil and gas companies like development companies.
Okay.
So, so like exploration development within the Canada resources sector.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
depending on it could be a good strategy depending on what
Okay,
somebody's looking
great.
for.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about quickly is the connection with your business and your personal side when it comes to taxes, because some persons think that, okay, your personal is here, your business is here. Yes, that is true. It's separate entities, separate bodies. However, when it comes to taxation, I've seen it where persons are like, okay, they're still seeing it as two separate bodies. They don't see the benefit of looking at both areas together. What can you speak a bit about that, please?
Sure, I can touch on that,
Mhm.
and I'll
Yes,
also put the disclaimer that I'm certainly not a tax expert. I mean, that's not my field. I just more talk
yes,
about the higher level strategies and break that
exactly.
down with my clients. But I think it's vitally important. You work with, let's say, the accountant or that professional on both your personal and your corporate side of things, or your personal
Mhm,
and maybe your sole proprietor side of things, because then they're going to know your situation in and out, and they're going to know how those are going to work together. So that's
mhm.
something, it's just a simple thing, but I would highly recommend that. And also your spouse, have your spouse be working with that same individual as well.
Yeah, and that does make sense because it's a combined picture when it comes to taxation. There's so many areas to explore to save on taxes to really get the best picture, the best of all the worlds. So I find that it is really, really so important. The last thing I wanted to touch on with what's been happening with COVID from last year, the temperature out there, what would you be saying to persons who are saying, okay, they just probably don't think there's still any way they can save on taxes, or they might be saying it's just, this is what it is. There's just no way at all to pay fewer taxes. What would you really be saying to persons who are, in that space right now?
So that's a bit of a tough question, but I would just
Mhm.
say really take some time and talk to a professional about it
Okay.
rather than just thinking, oh, it's doomed or there's no other
Yeah.
options.
Hmm.
I think there's always an option. What most people don't realize, if you look at the size of the tax act and about 20% approximately is more hard and fast rules, whereas
Yeah.
about the other 80% is open to interpretation. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
interpretation within the tax laws and within the tax act. So I would highly, highly encourage you talk to a professional. get
Mm-hmm.
a second opinion. At least hear what they have to say, and just see. That's what I say to my clients all the time. I said, let's take a look at it. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you a second opinion. If there's something that we can do that's better for you,
Yeah.
great. Let's talk more about that. And if
Mm-hmm.
not, if what you're already doing is the best, well, now at least you have peace of mind knowing that what you have is amazing. So I find
Exactly.
when you approach it that way, it gives clients a lot of confidence, and they think, most times, yeah, I'd at least be open to that. And if there's something
Mm-hmm.
you can do, great, let's talk about it. And if not, at least they can go away from that meeting knowing that they're doing the right things and they're taking the right proactive steps to help protect, themselves now and in the near future.
Yeah, I do agree because a lot of times it's like this is it, and I'm always like get another opinion because you never know, like
Mm-hmm.
different minds come together with different views and different experiences. So having that next opinion really does make sense all the time for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. And
what would be your final words, persons listening on, both from the business, the personal side, what would be your final words to them? And definitely share where they can reach you and all that for sure.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, the last thing I would say is kind of what we've echoed all along is just make sure that you speak with somebody that can really help give you that second opinion, or that professional if you've never talked to somebody. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the things I talk to my higher level clients about all the time is make sure you have a support team around you. So maybe not just your accountant, but is your accountant able to communicate and work well with your lawyer, or
Yeah.
with your financial professional, with your insurance professional, with your mortgage broker, with your
Mm-hmm.
commercial realtor? So really create that power team where you can have some synergy, where they can all communicate, they can all work together. I find that the business owners that have the most success in the planning side of things, that's the one thing they have in common, is they all have that expert team around them, that support network.
Yeah. And that is so true, having those that key team, because it's like everybody comes with a different expertise looking from a different angle, but it's all connected. It all contributes to the success or failure of your business in some way for sure. So yeah, I'm
That's right.
happy that you're, echoing that so persons will really hear and realize the importance of, definitely having all the minds connected and communicating for sure. So
Absolutely.
what's the best way for persons to connect with you, Matthew? I know even though it's there on LinkedIn, some persons might say, what's the best way, the quickest way then to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right here on LinkedIn. Or my website is ridgerockwealth.com. So exactly how it sounds, RIDGEROCK wealth.com. Be happy to connect with anybody, answer any questions you have. Like I said before, just get a second opinion.
hmm And the last thing, do you have like a threshold, like if this is happening, then they should, do you have like a preference with who should reach out, or you're open to have that conversation with everybody?
Yeah, another excellent question. And my attitude has always been the same, as I'm open to have a conversation with anybody. I
Okay,
don't like
great.
to I don't like to prejudge. You never know,
Yeah.
where somebody's coming from. And I've had numerous examples of this in my past, where I've had a client come to me, or a client referred to me or introduced to me, and they may say, I only have $5,000 to invest.
hmm
And I treat them with that same level of respect and the same approach as a client that would have $500,000 or $5 million. And that one client in particular I'm thinking of, is they were really just testing me. They wanted to see if I would turn up my nose and say, "Oh no, I only deal with people that have 250,000, 500,000," and
Yeah.
they were just testing me. They had substantial wealth behind the scenes, but they wanted to see if
Yeah.
I would treat them with that same level of respect. So, and that's just one example. I have numerous examples like that. So I'm always open to a conversation. As you'll see on my website, I say everybody connects through stories. That's my favorite
Yeah.
part about what I get to do, is we get to share stories with each other, and learn about other people's stories, and see how those stories can fit together, see how we can help each other.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great. Yeah. So thank you so much for this wealth of information, and just, you've been just open to share, because I find it so important that that getting that education, that knowledge out there is so important. And a lot of times, business owners, they really don't know. The entrepreneurs, CEOs, they really are unaware. So, it's really enlightening and refreshing to see you willing to share and offer value so much. So thank you again. And
Uh,
please, guys, you're listening on live or the replay. Please share this broadcast with other business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs, and do reach out to Matthew with all your questions. Okay, he's ready and waiting. He doesn't have a problem with all the questions. So thank you so much, guys, and
Thank you.
we're gonna sign off now, and we'll be on again soon. Bye.
Bye bye.